Hi friends, today we will see what is SAS and what is the role of the clinical SAS program. Okay, to know about the duties of the clinical SAS programmer, firstly we need to know about the clinical trial process. What happens in the clinical trial? Okay, let's see. In this clinical trial there will be a trial protocol. Okay, this protocol means it's a document which contains all the information about the trial. Where the clinical trial should take place, about the site information and what kind of the subjects they need to recruit, like that. Okay, once the protocol is ready, then the investigator selection will take place. These investigators are nothing but the doctors. In this clinical trial process we'll call them as investigator. Okay, once the investigator is selected, then it will go for the approval process. Once it is approved, then the subjects are recruited based on the inclusion exclusion criteria. This also it will be documented in the protocol. What is inclusion criteria, what is the exclusion means? Suppose if any subjects pass the inclusion criteria, then they will recruit into the clinical trial process. Here they need to meet the requirements of the inclusion criteria. Suppose if they didn't meet the requirements of the inclusion criteria, then they will reject the subjects into the clinical trial. Same case with the exclusion. If any subject meets the requirement of the exclusion criteria, then they will not take them into the clinical trial study. Okay. Once the subjects are recruited, then the data is collected into the CRFs. Here, who will do all the subjects recruitment process? Investigator. Who will select the investigator? All this is done by the clinical operations team. Okay. Once the subjects are recruited into the study, then their data is collected into the CRFs. This is done by the clinical data management team. Okay. These data entry people, they will enter their data into the CRF. Subjects data into CRF. CRFs are of different type. One is paper and one is the electronic CRFs. Paper CRFs is nothing but that just entering the patient details in the paper. Everything they will write them on the paper. And suppose, imagine if the single CRF contains 50 pages, then for a single patient it is 50 pages. As we already know, thousands of people are involved in the clinical trial process. Then how many pages it will take for all the patients if each CRF contains some 50 or more than 50 pages, like that. And also it will be difficult to send these paper CRFs to the FDA. Okay, so there is another one called e-CRFs. They are nothing but the electronic CRF. They are also just like the paper CRFs, but the software will be present in the system. These data entry people directly they will enter into the software. Okay. Alternatively, they will do another process called EDC, electronic data capture. Directly they will enter the data into the database. This is electronic data capture. This is mostly used because it contains it can take a large number of data, and it is very safe and secure. We can access anywhere in the world, and also it will be very easy to send the FDA. Okay. Once the data is collected and validated, the data manager converts these database tables into the SAS datasets. Okay, and now the SAS programmer role will come here. Okay, these datasets, whatever the datasets created by the data manager, these datasets are not as per the standards. There will be a CDISC which includes SDTM and ADAMS. They will have some separate guidelines. We'll discuss later in another session. These datasets are not standardized. Okay, so this SAS programmer, they will standardize these SAS datasets as per the SDTM guidelines, and then SDTM datasets are created. Okay, from these SDTM datasets, analysis datasets are created. So using these analysis datasets, you can generate the reports like TLFs, tables, listings or figures. Okay, figures are graphs. Okay, this is the role of the clinical SAS programmer, converting the SAS raw data into the SDTM datasets, SDTM mapping and analysis datasets, and then the reports like TLFs, and then the submission to the FDA. Why we are generating the analysis datasets? Why we are not directly generating the reports from the SDTM datasets? Because to generate the reports, we can require some additional data which are not present in the SDTM datasets. Okay, so we cannot add that additional data into these datasets. Okay, as per the guidelines, that the data is not included in the SDTM datasets. So we are generating the analysis datasets, means derived. We can analyze the data using this and we can generate the reports. Once the reports are generated, and then they will be submitted to the FDA for approval. What we will submit to the FDA? Subject profiles, SDTM datasets, these analysis datasets and reports. Okay, like TLFs or TLGs. G is nothing but a graph. Okay. This is what happens in the clinical trial process. Okay, now coming to what is SAS. SAS is nothing but the statistical analysis system of the software. Okay, it is developed in early 1970s at North Carolina State University. Jim Goodnight is the founder of the SAS. Actually SAS was developed for the agricultural uses, but later it is used in most of the sectors like banking, pharmaceutical companies, automobiles, like that, etc. Okay, why we are using SAS? Because in this SAS we can manage the data, we can alter and we can perform the statistical analysis on it, and we can generate the reports, whatever report we need. Okay, now coming to what is SAS program. SAS program, it includes two steps, that is data step and the proc step. Okay, let me show you. This raw data is nothing but the datasets generated by the data manager. As I have already told you, they are not as per the SDTM standards. Okay, from this raw data, using the data step, we can generate the SAS dataset. Okay, datasets will look like this. This one dataset, this another dataset. From this datasets, we can generate the reports. How we will generate the report? Using the proc step. Proc step is used to process the data step and analyze the data. Okay, this is about the data step and the proc step. As I have already shown you the workflow. Raw data, from raw data, using the data step, we can create the SAS datasets, and using the proc step we can generate the reports, various reports like tables, listings, figures, like that. Okay. Now let's see how it looks like. Yes, I have already shown you. This is the SAS. This is the SAS software. It contains 5 windows. One is editor window, other one is the log window, output window, explorer and the results window. Explorer and the results window together we will call it as the docked window. Now coming to the editor window. What is the use of the editor window? Here we can write the program and we can execute the program. This editor window is used to write the program and for the execution process. And this log window, it shows errors, warnings, and it contains some notes also. Whatever program we have executed in the editor window, all the details about that program will be shown in the log. If it is, suppose if it is having any errors, it will show. I will show you one error, for example. See, if it is having any error, it will show it error and what the error it is having, and the notes. This is about the execution time and the data, how many observations they present in the SAS dataset. Okay, like that it will show. And also see here, whatever the procedure we executed, that procedure will also shown in the log window. And coming to the output window. Output window is nothing but the result is printed in this output window and opens by default. Okay. Explorer. This Explorer is nothing but how, see, in our systems we'll have Internet Explorer. You can browse there. Like the same thing. It contains libraries, file shortcuts, favorite folders, and then the computer. We'll discuss later about libraries in detail. Coming to results window. In output window, only the current program we can able to see. Suppose if we run some 10 programs or 20 programs, and if we want to see the second program, how we will see? We can't scroll this scroll bar and we can't see. It's a messy thing. So directly we can go here and we can see the procedure what we have done. Okay, and also it will show the procedure with what kind of procedure we have executed. Yeah, print procedure, second is contents, third is contents, like that. Okay, all the reports will be shown in the tree-like manner. This is about the SAS windows. Okay, and this SAS data set, so I have shown you how it looks like. You know, it contains the data in a table like manner. See how it is having like a table. Okay, obviously we'll have columns and rows in a table, but in SAS we won't call them as columns and rows. Instead we'll call them as variables and the observations. These columns are called as the variables. So here name is one variable, sex is one variable, age is one, height is the other variable, and the weight is the another variable. Okay, these columns are called as variables, and these rows we will call them as observations. Okay, so this single line is one observation. This one observation will contains all the information about one subject. Okay, here the subject is Alfred, in sex is male, age is 14, height is 69, and weight is 112. Okay, this single line is called one observation, and this one is the other observation. This one is other observation. Like that, here we are having totally 19 observations and 5 variables. Okay, these variables may be either character or the numeric. Remember, only the numeric one and the character type will be there, and it won't include alphanumeric and all. Okay, if we click here, it will show this is a character type. If we click the height one, it will show this is the numeric type. Okay, don't worry about these format, informat, length, label and all. These are called as attributes. We'll discuss later in further classes. Okay, this data set, you know, in this data set contains the two portions, like data portion. Data portion is nothing but this one, what the data is there, and the descriptor portion. We'll see how to check the data portion and the descriptor portion. Suppose if you want to see the data portion of the class data set, so we'll write a program, that is proc. Proc is nothing but the procedure. Proc print data equals to class. Okay, run. Remember one thing, this data step and the proc step will end with the run statement. Okay, select this and see this running symbol. This is the submit button. Just click this. See, automatically the result is printed in the output window. So this is the data that contains in the class data set. It will show. Suppose if you want to see the descriptor portion, how many observations, how many variables and all. As this is the small data set, we can tell only 5 variables and 19 observations. Suppose it contains hundreds of data, hundreds of variables, we can't count. So everything it will show here. Again, select and run the program. See, it is showing how many variables it contains, how many observations it contains. It contains 19 observations, 5 variables. So whether it is sorted, not known, and what is the page size, dataset page size, and what are the variables present, and what is the type of that. See, age is the numeric one, height is the numeric, name and sex are the character type, weighting is the numeric one. Don't worry about the length, these attributes we will discuss later. Okay, this is about the data portion and the descriptor portion. Yes, I've already discussed about the role of the SAS programmers. Okay, this is very briefly I told you about the SAS. Okay, for more details about the course and fees, please contact 0741 742 8001 and email me at sascdisctrainer@gmail.com. Thank you.